Today I'll be talking about 5 things that men must understand before they get on Body Game. Y'all know the deal is basically aka Cole Brown Official. We start number 5 and we go down to number 1. So number 5 is you are not competing with anybody. You're competing against your old self. And a lot of guys fall into this trap of being on social media a lot, and they're looking at the bodybuilders, they're looking at these guys that go to the extreme. Because that's what does good online, the extreme examples. Guys like the Liver King. So you feel like you're slacking, you feel like you're not doing enough. And even one guy I used to watch a lot, one of them cats in New York, he made me feel like I was slacking. You know, I would do a lot of pull-ups, a lot of dips when I was in calisthenics, but there was times I'd go watch him and he'd go live and he's like, I'm doing 500 pull-ups today at the park. Like, and then I'm like, if he's doing 500 pull-ups, I needed to do at least half of that. And it's like, what am I doing 250 pull-ups for? Just because I'm like, if he's doing 500, I need to be able to do half of that. Like, it made no sense. But just because I seen another guy online doing it, now I'm like, oh, I need to up my workload. When it was really to the point of diminishing returns, that didn't help me at all. If anything, that shit made my elbow start hurting, you know? So really reflect on your workout plans, dog. Have a plan that makes sense for you. Stop looking online at the extreme examples. And I've seen a lot of guys that make a lot of progress. And then they go look at the guys that Photoshop their photos. They look at the guys that edit their photos. They look at the guys that know their angles. They look at the guys that are taking stuff. And then you feel like you have a shitty physique, but you might have a very solid physique. It's just these guys go to the extreme. Or they might just have very good genetics. Like I said, what's gonna get pushed online is the best of the best. This guy might have a 1 in 100,000 physique. And his diet's dialed in. And like I said, a lot of these guys are taking stuff and then they lie about it. So if you compare yourself to him, you're gonna feel like you're a slacker. You're gonna feel like your physique is shit. But a lot of guys have came a long way, dog. I've seen guys that were overweight. I've seen guys that were extremely scrawny. They put on some mass. The physique looks good. They start to get attention. But then they're looking at the next man. They're looking at the influencers online and like, damn, dog, my physique's not all that. Like, look at the starting point, dog. And that's why I always tell guys, make sure they take photos and to take videos. Because a lot of times we forget how far we have came, you know what I'm saying? And then you just looking at the wrong stuff, man. So that's number 5. You're not competing against anybody else. You're competing with the old version of you. Going on to point number 4 is discipline is attractive. And we all know that women tend to like a nice body. They like the body that's in the gym. But another component is a lot of women are attracted to the discipline. You know, I've had a lot of women, they're not really into gym guys, but then they get around you and they see the discipline. They see you making healthier decisions. They see you're consistently in the gym. A lot of women will be more into you because of that. Like, it's not just the physique that turns her on. A lot of times it's the behaviors. And it's just like some women, they like guys that make a lot of money. It's not per se they like, he just has a lot of money. Sometimes she likes the discipline of that man, that it shows he's different from other men to put himself in position to make a lot of money. If y'all get what I'm saying, like, it's not just the end product. Sometimes it's the process of what got you there. A lot of women love discipline, and you'll see a lot of guys slack nowadays. You know, if you look at the average man in America, very, very unimpressive. Let's just say that. The physiques are very lousy. Like I tell guys all the time, you know, guys will come a long way and then they still like, man, I don't look that good. My physique's still not all that. And I'm like, bro, go to Walmart. Go to Walmart and look around for like 10 seconds. You will see a whole bunch of big backs. You will see a whole bunch of beluga back whales. And that will make you feel better about yourself because you're like, damn, I have came a long way. Stop scrolling on Instagram, on TikTok to the extreme examples. Number 3 is your environment will make or break you. And I recently seen, I can't remember the guy's name, but they like in this little private gym, and it's a whole bunch of yelling and hooting and hollering and just a lot of extra shit. And that's like, when I was like 19, 20, that's some shit I would have ate up. That's some shit I would have been watching on a regular basis. Now I look at it and it's like, it's kind of goofy, dog. All that hooting and hollering is so unnecessary. I get some guys like to get pumped up before they max and stuff like that. But these guys are like old heads that are like cussing, yelling at you, don't be a bitch, pick that weight up. And it's just like, that's how people get hurt, dog. That's like people get hurt. Now, maybe I haven't watched a full video. Maybe they do take recovery very seriously, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it, dog. And I used to train at a private gym, and it wasn't like that extreme. But even then, like I see a lot of people just overlook, warming up. It's more like, don't be a bitch, lift this heavy weight. And I realize like a lot of times you don't need to go to the extreme, dog. I always talk about the David Goggins type mindset. Like, yeah, it's cool to go hard. Yeah, it's cool to go balls to the wall. But you can't do that all the time. Because a lot of dudes run themselves into the ground. Like, depending on your personality, like I'm the type of person, I'll go all the way out. Like, I never had an issue of not putting in enough effort. I had an issue of not dialing back enough. So when I watch guys that in these private gyms and they yelling and cussing and throwing stuff and dropping weights, and I never had an issue of not being like that. I'd have an issue of going into a gym like that and hurting myself because I'm just pushing it too hard. I'm gonna mess around, catch a hernia in a place like that. And like I said, always reflect on like, what are your goals? Why am I doing all this? And then, like I said, that's the type of content I would have ate up when I was younger. All that yelling, all that cussing, all that dropping weight, slamming stuff. That's the type of shit I would have been into. But now it's like, I just realized how unnecessary it all is. It's just so unnecessary, dog. You can lift heavy, you can get piped up, but there's a certain line you don't need to cross. Number 2 is recovery is a secret weapon. And this kind of goes back to point number 3 around your environment. A lot of people don't take their recovery seriously because I've been in a situation too. It's like I'm hitting the private gym and there's people in there and they're going super heavy and they telling me, Cole, go ahead, hit that. I remember one time I tried to bench 315. And at the time my bench was like probably 280. I knew I wasn't going to jump 35 pounds. But they're like, go ahead, Cole, go ahead. And so I get under there and I try to bench it, and then my back is hurting for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, I knew I wasn't gonna get that shit up. But because there was a whole bunch of people in the gym like hyping me up and yelling and hollering and hooting and hollering, now I'm trying to do weight I know doesn't make any sense for me at all. So that's why I said like the recovery a lot of times go hand in hand with the environment. And I've even seen guys in the comment section talk about how they prefer to work out by themselves. And sometimes that's the best option. I've had a lot of good workout partners and I've had some ass workout partners at the same time. So I definitely understand when some guys like, hey, I'm just trying to get it in by myself. Like a lot of people get distracted, or a lot of people, they don't want to do all the workouts. And I understand that, because that can take away from your energy too. I never like to work out with people where they're like, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this. It's just like, what are we doing then? If you only want to do certain things, like go do that on your own time, you know what I'm saying? But recovery is very important, dog. And that's why I said this is something I slacked on for a long time. And your body can get tight very quickly, very easily, if you're not taking your recovery seriously. I think it's even good to have things you do daily. Like I started just doing daily squats, like air squats, no weight at all. I might do daily lunges, really get a deep stretch in it too. Just going through the motions. I've been doing a daily dead hang just to try to, get my posture trying to get my posture better and just feel better overall, man. So definitely take your recovery serious. And I said, I went and got a massage a couple weeks ago. Like stuff like that can make a huge difference, dog. And I think a lot of people, they put all the effort into pushing their body harder, but they're not trying to repair anything. If you're going to kill yourself every single day, but you're not recovering from it, it doesn't matter. You're just wasting your time at that point. Even when you look at it, a lot of the best bodybuilders of all time, you see like the Ronnie Coleman's in their prime, they was getting a lot of massages. They was really taking recovery seriously, but they was just going way too hard. Ronnie Coleman was going way too hard, and he paid for it. And I think he would have paid for it a lot sooner if he didn't take his recovery serious. And last but not least, is body game is the first step. I always talk about this. And one of the main pushbacks I get when I talk about the body game is like, guys act like it doesn't work, or, oh, it's overrated, oh, you're hyping it up. And I always said it's the first step. It doesn't mean everything's gonna fall into your lap, especially when it comes to like dating and stuff like that. But to me, body game was so important for my dating life because it got my foot through the door. You see, and the thing about it, you might get your foot through the door and fuck it up. To be real, like I done fumbled a couple times. I done fumbled a couple times with chicks. I got my foot through the door and I fumbled the ball. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But it gives you those practice reps. Once it opens the door, now you're in position to get practice. The way I look at it is like, to become a good boxer, you have to spar. If somebody has never sparred, but they hit the bag all the time, they working on footwork drills, they still aren't going to be as good as the guy that gets practice. So when it comes to like dating, talking to women, stuff like that, you are going to get better once you get to practice. But first you got to get your foot into the door, and that's why we focus on the body game. And it's not just about, and I always say this, it's not just about dating women and making it easier for yourself. It's about the way you look at yourself. Because people can say they love themselves and they care about themselves, but if you're putting poison in your body, if you're sitting all day, you got these aches and pains and you're not addressing it, if you love yourself so much, why do you not put yourself in a position to give yourself the best life? That's not self-love. You know what I'm saying? And I would say this, like, you can have cheat meals. You can have your little snacks and your treats every now and then. But I've seen so many people, nothing but fast food. Like, I've met so many people run off straight fast food. They drink more soda than they drink water. I've met people, they drink more alcohol than they drink water. You can't tell me you love yourself and that's what your habits look like. You're consistently harming yourself. And I think a lot of guys, they think they're like immune to it, because I always say that like your actions will compound. You can get away with eating very shitty food for a while. There was a lot of guys in very good shape in high school. They eat like complete shit 24/7. But then I see these guys that I went to high school with and I'm like, damn, what happened to him? Bro was a lean, mean machine back in high school. And then you see him 5, 6, 7 years later, 10 years later, and he's like 300, 400 pounds. So man, really look at it. Like, body game is the first step. Is it everything? No. But it's very important to putting you in the right path. It's very important, dog. If you don't have your health, what do you have? Your health, it's gonna affect your energy. It's gonna affect your mood. It's gonna affect your posture. It's gonna affect that self-belief. So that's why I would say it's so important and it's mandatory. A lot of these guys just look wimpy nowadays. They look pathetic. And then they have all these standards for a woman, but you gotta have standards for yourself. How you putting all these standards for these women, but then you treat yourself like shit? You expect her to respect you when you don't respect yourself. You expect somebody to come around and love you when you don't love yourself. Stop doing all the talking and look at your actions. And that's gonna expose the truth, man. So that's how I feel today, man. That's the 5 things men must understand when they get on body game. Y'all make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch y'all boys in the next one.